Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Okay. Now, before we get started, any questions?
No.
Now, do you guys want to go on to chapter 16 or should we do the questions for chapter 15 first?
Questions?
You want to do the questions first?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that we already did the ones at the end of the chapter, but we have some questions at the back. So let's just look at those, and then we can go on to chapter 15, 16 afterwards. Hey guys. So I would recommend that you go to page 513 at the back. Okay. Now question 438. Page 513. Now a video display that is limited to black and white only. Clear? With no shades of gray is called. Now that was already called bistable. Clear? Okay. Now please keep in mind that, okay, yes, this bistable here is going to mean, yes, okay, only have one bit. Where it says, okay, one bit, give you, yes, okay, two shades or two colors, which in this case here was only black and white. Yeah, okay. So guys, this guy is going to be as okay the smallest scale, if you want to put it this way. Or as we may come across in the next chapter, is okay the smallest range. Okay. Now what we have here is going to be the greatest contrast, because the only two colors we had was black on one side and the next one was going to be white. Clear? Okay. And if we were going to, yes, okay, only use these two colors here in an image, that was going to be, yes, okay, due to the greatest contrast, we're going to have, yes, okay, the poorest contrast resolution. Okay. Very Kamini says, okay, why? because only the dark colors of okay, whatever we're scanning would be as okay shown as black, and okay, as the light shades would have been shown as white. So, okay. Did you guys get that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, when we only got two shades or two colors, which is black and white, that is what we call bistable. Okay, so that's going to be as okay the smallest scale, because okay, that was what we got from 1 bit. Now question number 439. Now this is actually okay a little bit more about this okay temporal resolution, but anyways, what is the approximate number of frames that must be presented each second for the human eye to perceive the display without flickering? And that is 20. Okay, so if you have 20 frames per second, okay, that's going to be the minimum number of frames per second in which is okay. We will have okay, as we can say, sort of a smooth motion. As okay, perceive as okay, the recording of a moving object to be smooth without seeing it here, and then in the next instant we see it here, and next instant we see it here. Okay, so there needs to be at least 20 frames per second. Clear?
That's the lowest number possible.
No, that's not the lowest number possible. That's going to be the lowest number to, yes, okay, to avoid flickering of the image. What did we mean by flickering? That means, okay, what you see in old time movies. Okay, that the motion, anything, okay, anything that was moving, for instance, is not going to be as okay smooth. Okay, it looks like okay as a little bit more of okay as jumping. At one frame it is here, then the next frame it's here. So you really don't know what happens between these 2 points here because it was not recorded. Did that make sense? Okay, just like as I said when we did it, slow internet, less bytes or bits or so on, so on, so per signal second, right? Okay, how many megabytes or gigabytes or so on, so on, so do you have per second? And that's when we went down, okay, that buffering. Okay, so you might have had, okay, as something over here, but once it's okay, it was buffered back as okay. So what happened in the middle? Yes, okay, you actually missed out on that. Okay, had we had that old internet speed nowadays, forget about streaming. Streaming would have been okay, yes, pretty much okay, impossible. Does that make sense? Okay, but what they say here is that okay, if the frame rate is less than 20 frames per second, then the human eye will be able to just okay, or it's going to just okay appear as the image is flickering, and you don't have that smooth flow of image. Did that make sense? Okay. So if it, for instance, okay, was less than 20, then okay, yes, you will in one frame, you, for instance, okay, see an object here, and next frame, yes, okay, you will see an object here. Clear? Okay. Why? Because okay, you have less than 20 frames per second, for instance. Okay, and seeing an object here in the first frame, and okay, here in the next, that's going to just okay, you're as or the human eye is actually going to perceive that as a flickering. Clear? Okay. Or where you actually can say it's okay. And that's maybe going to be because that's okay, you missed the motion here. So to avoid that, just okay, the minimum Oh, yes, okay, your frame rate should not be less than 20 frames per second. Did you guys get that?
Yep.
Okay. Now, although not asked here, but okay, yes. You can say it's okay, you don't want a G frame. Should not be more than 1/20th of a second. Which mainly means that, okay, yes, it shouldn't take more than 1 in the 20th or 1 or 20 parts of a second for one frame to be created. Did that make sense? Because if it does, that will mean that, okay, yes, your G frame head was less than 20. Or your frame rate was less than 20 frames per second. And then you will have flickering. Okay, and what you guys should know now is that, okay, yes, this frame per second here, which was, okay, is what we call the frame rate, and G frame, which was time for one frame to be completed, were reciprocals. Yeah, okay. Just like period and frequency were reciprocal. So it's like PRF or PRP and PRF were reciprocals. So your frame rate and G frame are reciprocals of one another. But one is just like, okay, the time that it takes for a frame to complete. The other is just going to be, it's okay, the frequency of frames. Did that make sense? So
Yeah.
if your G frame was more than 1/20th of a second, then your frame rate will be less than 20 frames per second. And the question still is, why would this be more and then this here is okay, become less? Because guys, these two here is okay, were inversely proportional to one another. Yeah, okay. No, sorry, 30. It's at 30. That's fine. It's a number. So 1/30th of a second, sorry. Any questions?
No.
We can go on to the next one. What was the original purpose of ultrasound systems analog scan converter? What was the original purpose of the ultrasound systems analog scan converter? Now we will see that in this chapter here. but mainly as okay as I think we had a question similar that okay as that the analog scan converter was mainly as okay too. As okay, we can create a grayscale. Okay. Now what this grayscale here is going to create is, or determine is, contrast resolution with help of contrast between the sheets. Okay. What you will see in okay, as the next chapter is not going to be to create the increase the gray dynamic range of the ultrasound system, rather vice versa. Okay, so the dynamic range is actually okay going to be decreased. Okay, it really doesn't have anything to do with your real-time imaging. Okay, your real-time images are mainly as okay things like okay as frame rate and T frame. Okay, and to increase the sensitivity of the ultrasound system. No, neither that either. Okay, so the main thing that it was okay, the purpose of the analog scan converter was mainly as okay to create a grayscale. Question number 41. Which of the following best describes an analog number? Now what I said was, what was an analog number? Well, okay, yes, it was a real world number. Okay, so real world. Okay. And we said, okay, it was unlimited or limitless. Okay. Now the already is okay in you is okay when they talked about is okay analog numbers, they gave you an example of okay as the weight of a person. They we could say is okay 186 point, and then we just went on and on and on. That made it limitless. Okay, if it's first that's okay, say 186.5. Clear, okay, or let's say it's okay 6 for instance, then okay yes that could become 187, and that was going to be it's okay a digital number. Maybe that's okay just being rounded up, but it's okay in an analog we go and say okay 186.6521734 and so on so on so on. So go into as okay unlimited, yes okay, decimal numbers if you want to put it that way. Okay, the number of people in a room, you can't say what we have is okay 1 point, or it's okay 10.3 people in the room. Okay, either you have 10 or you have 11. Okay, so that's not going to be. A number of stars in the sky, well okay, that could have been an unlimited number but not in decimals. Okay, number of tires on a car, that's unless okay it's a crazy car. Okay, yes, most cars will have 4 tires. Okay, but you may have cars with okay yes you mean okay 6 tires for instance. Okay. So again yes okay not a limitless number. So just keep the thing in mind that okay yes analog numbers are limitless. Okay, that's pretty much okay the only thing that okay yes you will be needing is okay for Yes, okay, the next chapter as well. Did you guys get that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. There's any number that they may say is okay, digital or binary number, it's only going to be as okay, a series of zeros and ones. So you have something like okay, 001111111, 0011000, like this, for instance. Okay, this is a digital number. Okay, if I find this okay, smuggled in a 2, or if I find this okay, smuggled in a 4, this is not going to be a digital number or binary number, as we may call it, because of the 4, because of the 2. Even if I wrote the 2 here, okay, it's still not going to be a digital number anymore. Because, okay, what it means is, okay, that the word or the digital numbers what mean is, okay, binary digits. And from that, it's okay, that's where we got the bit. Now, true or false? A digital representation of a numbers can achieve specific fixed values. And that's why it says, okay, the digital numbers is okay, were limited. So a digital representation of a number can achieve only a specific fixed values. As you said, okay, that weight of the person that we wrote, for instance, and okay, that's XYZ number. We made it okay, just round it up and say, well, okay, 186.6. Let's say it's okay, pounds, for instance, okay, just become 187. Okay, that'd be 186.2. It would just remain 186 pounds. Did you get that?
Yes.
Okay, next question. 443. Now again, yes, okay, true or false. Now, digital scan converters do not use computer technology to process electronic data into imaging. That's false. Okay, that's actually okay what they do. That they convert the data, yes, okay, everything is like from an analog to, yes, okay, to a digital format, mainly so that this digital format here can be used to be displayed as a data or an image on your display. Right, okay. Now the machine that we were using yesterday, if you looked at it, it had okay, that's quite a big screen, right? Okay, we had the display here, for instance, but behind that was okay, as a big body or chunk. That was mean that's okay, an analog display. Okay, so that was not going to be able to display as okay the digital data. Okay, that digital data had to be converted back into an analog. But if you have, for instance, okay, a plasma screen or flat screen, right? Okay, that's why okay, yes, it would only be able to yes, okay, understand the digital data. and use that to, yes, okay, this is okay, be displayed as an image. Yeah. So that's okay. That diagram on page, what was it on? 140, not 247, figure 15.7. Please remember that one.
You said 15.7?
15.7, yes.
Okay.
Now that's okay. And that we have okay as a digital, no, sorry, an analog display. So what we first see is that okay, the data is converted from analog, from transducer into digital format by an analog to digital scan converter because it has to be stored in the memory, and memory is always going to be digital. Now in that diagram, it's okay 15.7 since we have okay as an analog display. That's why okay, this digital data here again has to be converted by a scan converter from a digital format into analog through yes, okay, yeah, digital to analog scan converter. But if we had a digital display, well, okay, it goes from transducer, which is analog, which is always going to be analog, converted by analog into digital to be stored in the memory. But from the memory, it doesn't have to be as okay converted back into digital, but can be it's okay directly be displayed on the display. So that's pretty much okay as what they asked here, but they say, do not use computer technology. It uses computer technology to be displayed on a, yes, okay, digital display. Did that make sense? So digital is mean as okay, just a fancy word for saying computer related or computer based, if you want to put it that way. Even yes, okay, the phone numbers that we have now are digital. You might have seen those analog phones. Okay. So your number might have been before, that's okay, let's say it's okay, 6 digits. But it went from analog to digital, it's okay to change the numbers. They might have to do something like, okay, as area codes or block codes or whatever. But the number actually is okay. Okay. Triple four. Emergency number. Now, guys, this is a kind of question that we may see it's okay, quite a few of. Okay, but one thing to remember, guys, for yes, okay, especially the questions in this chapter that are like these is okay, yes. What was spatial resolution? And what was contrast resolution? And what determined your spatial resolution and contrast resolution? Here, these pulses, yes, okay, could yes, okay, also become yes, okay, what we call pixels. Did that make sense? Well, okay, as this pixel yes, okay, will be related to yes, okay, pixel density, which then also yes, okay, can be yes, okay, directly inversely related to your pixel size. Where the contrast resolution is going to be as okay the number of bits, where that bits is going to be as okay bits per pixel. Okay, for Wilvane, yes, okay, will be related to yes, okay, the grayscale. Clear, okay. Did that make sense? Number of shades or number of choices, as we may is okay call it in the next chapter. Okay, so in this system, in this question, is okay, we have two systems. We have okay, one is called system A. There's going to be as okay, one that we call system B. Now, for each of these systems, they have given us certain data. So let's just read the question. So two digital scan converters are undergoing evaluation. Okay, good. Both produce images of the same size. Now we can just for simplicity say it's okay that we have okay as images of that the size is the same. Let's say it's okay 10 square inches. Is that clear? Okay, they have not specified the size. We just do it as okay, maybe as okay, just for our okay simplicity. Now system A has okay as 1 million pixels. So pixels here is going to be as okay 1 million. Clear, okay. And we can mainly say okay that that's going to be as okay 10 bits to each pixel. Where system B has 250,000 bits. Pixels, sorry. Okay, with 12 bits assigned to each pixel. Okay. Which system is most likely going to have the capability to display a very detailed image? Now, guys, this last wording is probably not the best based on yes, okay, what they chose the answer to be. Because best detail can mean both good contrast resolution and spatial resolution. Did that make sense? Now, if they had asked about contrast resolution, the answer would be system B. Why? Because it has more bits per pixel, right? Did that make sense? Whereas, okay, as had it been spatial resolution, it would have been the one with the more number of pixels, which would system A. Did you guys get that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So yes, okay, the last sentence here does not really tell what they are asking about. For me, that's okay, just looking at the answer, they're most likely asking about, okay, which system has the best spatial resolution. But how do we determine that? Mainly because, well, okay, it was the same size picture. Okay, we have not magnified it. Okay, that this picture here, and let's say it's okay, 10 square inches. If it had 1 million pixels, clear, okay, you could actually say that, okay, yes, for each square inch, there was going to be, as okay, a total of 100,000 pixels per each square inch. So that was going to be, as okay, the pixel density. Then the same image here is okay, same square 10 square inch, for instance. Okay, but where the whole image had 25,000 pixels or 250,000 pixels. Okay, that mainly mean that okay, for each square inch, the pixel of you will have okay, yes, 25,000 pixels in 1 square inch. So comparing that to just okay, 100,000, 25,000 is 1/4. Did that make sense? So since this is going, yes, okay, is a lower pixel density. That's where I guess it's okay. We have a lower pixel density that's going to be, well, okay, what we in this case I can call is okay, lesser details, where this one here is okay, will have greater details due to as okay, greater pixel density. Now in this case, it's okay because it's okay, we will have a smaller pixel size. Where here is okay, due to the lesser density, we have a greater pixel size. Okay. What we can say is okay that they may mean by small details is that they are as okay able to display the detail down to the minutest. Or the minutest details. Now, what could be the minutest detail? Microscopic, right? Now, I remember when I was in school in Denmark, what we had was there was this song. When we started about it, okay, saying there was a forest, then in the forest there was a mountain, and on the mountain there was a tree. That tree had a branch. On that branch was a twig. That twig had a leaf. On that leaf was a nest. In that nest was a bird. That bird had a feather, and so on, so on, so. But each time we sang it, it was like we had to go tick, 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 down into further details. So yes, okay, you can mainly says okay, a forest that is the least detail. Then you go to the mountain, okay, that's a little bit more detailed. Then you say, okay, that mountain, there was a tree. That's further detail. On that tree, there was a branch. That's further detailed. Or smaller details, right? Okay. Then that branch had a twig. And if on that twig there was a leaf, and on that leaf there was a nest. And if that nest had a little birdie, and that birdie had just one feather. Okay. So that feather is going to be as okay, the very smallest detail. Did that make any sense? Okay. But again, yes, okay. Not the best wording because, okay, the details here could meant both spatial or contrast. So if I give you a question like this, I almost like to say, okay, which will have the best spatial or which will have the best contrast resolution. Did you guys get that? Clear? Okay. Or 45. What happens to digital imaging when the pixel size density increases? And that's what we just had here. Now we can say, okay, the greater the pixel density, right? Okay, now what's it? We can mean says, okay, what that is going to lead to is, we can say, okay, better spatial resolution. Okay. Another thing that we can say is, okay, and now as in the pixel density increases, it may also, it's okay, lead to, it's okay, decrease in the pixel size. Now, the only one that, okay, made sense here is that we have, okay, as a better or improved spatial resolution. G. नौका दिखी नहीं चाहिए मेजबान पतो आफी अठरा के ओगड़ ओके बन आमागा चिकी चोला okay. A pixel increase in pixel density is not going to increase or improve your temporal resolution, rather vice versa. Okay, because what did we say that, okay, yes, this was meaning line density. And if you increase the line density, what's going to happen to your temporal resolution? That will degrade. All this increase in line density means okay, increased number of pulses per frame. Okay, the field of view expands. Now, what was field of view? What was another name for field of view?
Sector size?
Public
Sector size?
sector size, again, or size of your sector or the horizon that you were scanning. Okay, and that as well, okay, has nothing to do with your pixel density. Okay. There are going to be more shades of gray. No, your shades of gray was not due to the increase of the pixels density, but due to the increase in the bits per pixel. Clear? Question number 246. And as I just said, guys, let's see. So again, yes, okay, 446, sorry. I don't know why I have 2 parts. So again, it's okay, 2 digital systems. Again, yes, okay, we have system A, system B, undergoing an evaluation. Okay, system A again, yes, okay, have how many pixels? One million pixels. Okay, in a picture that is 100 square inch. So you can actually say that, okay, its picture size is 100 square inch. Did that make sense? Now for system B, has an image size of 10 square inches. So here's okay, the first row, that's okay, the picture size. 10 square inches, okay, composed of 250,000 pixels. Now, which image is more likely going to display very small details? And again, it's okay, what they still may be asking us is okay, test spatial resolution. Did that make sense? Okay. So mainly it's okay to determine that, what would you need? Mainly it's okay to find which of these two images here has the highest what we can call is okay, pixel density. How do you get that? You says, okay, we have 100 square inch image, which is going to be 100 inches this way and 100 inches this way. That becomes 100 square inch. But in this 100 square inch image here is okay, we have a total of 1 million pixels. But the question comes, okay, what is going to be as okay, or what's going to be our pixel density, which is going to be number of pixels per square inch. And the same over here. So how do we get that? We say it's okay, 100,000, oh, sorry, 1 million is going to, yes, okay, be divided by 100. That will give us our pixel density. The same formula applies over here. 250,000. And that's going to be, yes, okay, divided by 10. So that's straightforward, guys. This cuts this cuts this, and what we are left with is 10,000. So that's our pixel density. Whereas over here, it's the same. This cuts this. And we are left with 25,000. So here, this is a greater pixel density. Whereas over here is okay, this pixel density is less. Because we took 1 square inch of this image and 1 square inch of this image here, and counted the number of pixels based on, that's okay, what we said. We only had 10,000 pixels in that 1 square inch here, whereas in this, it was going to be, it's okay, 25,000. Okay, so what we mainly can say is, okay, in this chapter here, or in this question here, okay, the main is, okay, said, okay, because it's okay that the pixels or the picture size was not the same. All that's okay for system A, 1 million pixels and 25,000 pixels, or 250,000 pixels, sorry, respectively for system A and B, just as we had in question 44 or 444. But in that, yes, okay, the picture size was the same. We just said, okay, let's just say that, okay, it's 10 squared. Okay. Did that make sense? So maybe it's okay from the data that we got here, it's okay, we were able to, it's okay, calculate the pixel density. So greater pixel density. Not just for this 1 square inch, but for the whole, because here it's okay, in 100 square feet or on a square inch, we only had, it's okay, as 1 million pixels. Where this was a smaller image, but it had 250,000 pixels. Did you guys get that?
Yeah.
Okay, question number 47. What is smallest part of a digital picture called? Now the word here is digital picture. Okay, because it's okay, digital image. Okay, the smallest part of that is going to be, it's okay, a pixel. Yep. Did you guys get that? Okay, where I said digital data, then it would be a bit. Did you guys get that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So the magical term here is picture or image. True or false? The greater the number of bits assigned to each pixel of a digital image, the greater is the number of shades of gray that that image has. That was true. Clear, okay. And we already saw clear when we did some of the questions for this chapter here, we said, okay, as if we had, for instance, okay, 2 bits. We had a total of up to, yes, okay, 4 sheets. Okay, whereas if we said, okay, if we had, for instance, okay, 3 bits, okay, we had up to 8 sheets. So the greater the number of bits, the greater is the number of sheets. So that is true. Okay, what that greater number of sheets will lead to is a lesser contrast and better contrast resolution. Yep. Yeah, guys.
Yes.
Good. Question 449. Now, what is the smallest amount of a digital storage card? That's a bit. Clear, okay. That would be a bit. So we can say it's okay, we have a picture. In that picture is okay, we have pixels. Within that pixel was okay as XYZ number of bits. Question 450. Which of these numbers here is a binary number? Now, what did we mean by a binary number? Maybe it's okay, that's zeros and ones. Okay, because we're going to be, it's okay, these binary numbers are binary digits that we call them makes up, it's okay, what we call a bit. But bits for me, it's okay, or bytes. For me, it's okay, just made up of 8 bits, which could only be as okay a 0 or a 1. Okay. So although it's okay in option A, you have ones and twos, but they are not binary digits. Okay, it has to be 0 and 1. You can't say, okay, as 1 and 2, just in okay, a different sequence. It still is okay, a binary number, because it only has 2 types of numbers. Okay. Okay. Now B as in boy. Now you may see as okay, 1 with a whole bunch of zeros. Now in an analog format, it's okay, you could actually read that as okay as 10 billion. 100 billion. Okay. But here it is just 1 followed by SOK zeros. So SOK, that is a binary number. Where okay, as in option C, is just okay, countdown from 9 to 2. Okay. And D may look at it had it not been for that last 2 that I was written after the zeros and 1, 0 and 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. Had it not been as okay followed by a 2, it's okay that as well, or D could also have been a binary digit or a bit, or it's okay, or made of bits. Did you guys get that? So it got to be as okay sequences of okay as zeros and ones. Okay, it could have been okay as a whole bunch of zeros. Or it could have been as okay a whole bunch of ones. Question 451. Now, 2 digital converters are undergoing evaluation. And again, it's okay, we're stuck in system A. And system B. Okay, and that what do we have now is we have okay, yes, pixels. And system A is always going to have okay 1 million. Okay. And here is going to be okay 4 bits assigned to each watch. pixel. Did that make sense? Good. System B. Okay. 250,000 pixels and 12 bits per pixel. Okay. Now this system is most likely going to display images with very subtle differences in the grayscale. Now, guys, does anybody know what this word here means?
What does that say?
It's written in the question. Subtle. S-U-B-T-L-E.
It's like slight, like a slight difference.
Slight or small difference in the grayscale. Okay, which mainly will mean that we had, okay, as a lower contrast because we had a greater grayscale. So here's your answer. Now, which of these two images here is going to have the greatest grayscale? Due to the least or due to the lesser contrast or lesser difference in the grayscale? Is this one here. So your first says, okay, through the grayscales, Vicomi says, okay, for this one here, it's okay, what will we have? We have only 4 bits per pixel, says, okay, that was going to be, it's okay, a total of 16 sheets. Of course, that's okay, one sheet was going to be black and one was going to be white, but in between these, that's okay, that was going to be only, okay, 14 sheets. But here is okay, you can mean it's okay, just go on. 12 pixels or 12 bits per pixel. That's okay. Multiply 2 by itself 12 times. Whatever number you get, okay, yes, of course, we know that that's going to be as okay, a hell of a greater grayscale. There, okay, yes, on one side it's still going to be black, and on the other side it's still going to be white. But as you go from the darker side to the lighter side, what is it we see? That the difference between this to this, 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 this to this shade of gray is going to be lesser. That will be as okay, a lesser difference in the gray shades. Which may mean that okay, as we had a lesser contrast. And a lesser contrast mean will mean it's okay that it's going to be the one with a greater grayscale, which is going to be this one here. Because of the greater number of bits. Yeah, okay. We could also, yes, okay, this very same question could also be asked, okay, which of these systems here will have the best contrast resolution. And it is going to be this one here because of the greater number of bits assigned to each pixel. Of which system here was going to have, okay, the lowest contrast. No. Did that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's, okay, the number of pixels is really not relevant. But it's just going to be, okay, how many bits is it that there is assigned to each pixel that will determine, yes, okay, your contrast resolution. Clear? Okay. So you have to, okay, the differences in the grayscale media, okay, means the contrast between, yes, okay, the gray shades as we go from the darker to the lighter. Because the word contrast is cell manias, okay, just meant different. And when that different is subtle or small or less, that will mean less contrast. Less contrast, well, okay, yes, greater grayscale. Did you guys get that?
Yes.
It, they had asked us, okay, great difference in the gray shades. No, I mean this one. That great difference would have been, okay, as a great contrast. That great contrast would have led to a smaller grayscale. And due to that smaller grayscale, yes, okay, we would have a poor contrast resolution. Okay, guys, 2 and a 457, 52, sorry. A byte is composed of dash bits. A word is composed of dash bytes. Now just fill in interpolation of this. So 1 byte is equal to dash bits, right? That was 8. Clear? Okay. And 1 word is equal to dash bytes, which would be 2. Had it here said that 1 word is equal to dash bits, then the option would have been 16. Did you guys get that?
Yes. True or false?
The greater the number of bits assigned to each pixel of a digital image, the greater is the spatial resolution of that image. And that's false. Makasige. Why? Just as I said earlier, it's okay before that, okay, as your spatial resolution is not determined by the number of bits per pixel, but by the, we can say it's okay, pixel density, to be more specific. Okay, maybe we could say it's okay, the greater the pixel density, better spatial resolution, lower pixel density, poor spatial resolution. Yeah, okay. But the number of bits, that is going to determine your contrast resolution. Did that make sense? Did you guys get that?
Yes.
Good. So question 454. Means it's okay, I'll ask about the same thing. But what it means is, okay, what happens to an image when the number of bits allocated to each pixel increases? So if you increase the number of bits, okay, yes, per pixel, what is that going to do? Increase your grayscale. Which means it's okay, we say it's okay, as we have, okay, it's more shades of gray. Clear? Okay, so spatial detail improves. Now, that would have been true if they said, okay, that we increase the number of pixels per image of the image, right? Okay, that will improve your spatial detail. The frame rate increases. Okay, no, not related here. Field of view expands, not related here. Okay, so more shades of gray. That more shades of gray is going to be, okay, greater grayscale. But we can mean, okay, what that more shades of gray will lead to is lesser contrast and better or improved contrast resolution. Did that make sense? Okay. So option A as an apple would have been the right answer had it only says, okay, what happens to an image if the number of pixels is increased? Clear? Okay. And you, that's okay, you say that the number of pixels increases, that's okay, then increases the number of pulses. So your frame rate can't increase either. That's going to decrease. The C frame will increase. Did that make sense? Now, what is the maximum number of shades of gray that are represented by 4 bits? So 4 bits can give up to how many shades of gray? Maximally. That was going to be 2 raised to the power 4, which mainly will mean 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2. And then you go 2 2s are 4 times 2 is 8 times 2 is 16. So 4 bits can display a maximum up to a maximum of 16 sheets. You got that?
Yes.
Now question number 6, 456. With 6 bits, what is the largest number of grayscale that what is the largest number of gray shades that can be stored? And the formula is the same, but here we just go 2 raised to the power 6, which means you need 2 times 2, 6. Yes. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, times 2 is 32, times 2 is 64. So 6 bits can display up to 64 shades. Did that make sense?
Yes.
Good. Now for question 54, 57. Pretty much the same, but okay, what the main says, okay, how many bits are required to display 10, 15 shades, 15, 14 shades, and 15 shades? So we have to say, okay, 10 shades, 14 shades, and 15 shades. Yeah, okay, now if you go and say, okay, 2 bits, for instance. Now 2 bits is going to be as okay, 2 times 2. That becomes 4. Big 5 says, okay, that's too low. Yeah, okay, because that can only give us 2 sheets or 4 sheets. If you go 3 bits, that becomes 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which becomes 8. So that's too low too. If you go 2 times 4, which is going to be 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. We go 2 times 4, 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. So whether it was 10 shades, we need 4 bits. Whether it was 14 shades, we need 4 bits. Whether it was 15 shades, we need 4 bits. Okay. Even if it was, for instance, okay, 9 shades, we would need 4 bits. because 3 bits was too low. 3 bits could only give us up to 8 shades. Okay. Even had it been, yes, okay, 16 shades, it would still have been 4 bits because, but that would then have been the max. That 4 bits could have given us in terms of shades. So whether it was 10 shades, whether it was 14 shades, or whether it was 15 shades, each of them needed or required a minimum of 4 bits. Did that make sense? Okay. And the question being, let's say it's okay, 10, 14, and let's say it's okay, 22 shades. For 10, there would have been 4 bits. For 14, there would have been 4 bits. For 22 shades, it would have been 5 bits. Because 5 bits then were as okay, give us up to at least 32 shades. Clear? Okay. Because 4 bits could only give us 16 shades. So we need more than 4 bits to have a number, to display a number of shades that were greater than 16. 5 bits can display up to 32 shades. Okay. Did you guys get that?
Yes.
Okay. What is the number of binary digits required to just store 19 levels of gray or 29 levels of gray? Here, guys, they just substitute the verb bits by binary digits. And says 29 sheets. We just did that. I say at least 5 bits or binary digits was required for 29 sheets. Or 5 bits of 5 binary digits can give us up to 32. So any number between 32 and 16 would need 5 bits. So 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Sheets would need a minimum of 5 bits. Where they just ask, how many was needed for 29? Just here. Did you guys get that?
Yes.
Good. Okay, true or false? For digital information, so 459. True or false? For digital information to be displayed on a conventional TV screen, the data must be processed by a digital to analog converter. and that was true. If you have digital data, that needed to be as okay displayed on an analog display. I says, okay, these were two different formats of information, or two different languages. This is really just okay spelling out the words, where this is more like okay, yes, emojis. Okay. So I guess okay. A person who is 97 years old is communicated to in digital format. That's okay, emojis, they will not understand. So that's why it's okay, there needs to be a converter, a scan converter that converts this digital data here into an analog format so that it can be displayed on the analog display, which in this case is as a conventional TV screen or television. Yep. Again, yes, that figure 15.7. Okay. But just if your display was digital, then it actually is could bypass this last conversion here. Because that digital data does not need to be converted back into an analog format, because now then this system here is which was digital, would not understand the analog format. Did you get that? Over 160. And again, it's true or false. Now, pre-processing of image data occurs after the data has been stored on a scan converter. That's false. Pre-processing is actually before stored in memory. Again, it's you figure 15.7. We have said, as anything that occurs from transducer, scan converter, memory. This processing here was pre-processing. Whereas, as this processing, which happens from here, is on to display. Was going to be post-processing. So what they actually is ask or define here is after the data has been stored in a scan converter is post-processing. But they ask says, say that pre-processing, that's false. Did that make sense? Where they just change the word, and that's what they do in 461. And say it's okay, processing of data after it being stored in a scan converter or the memory. If that processing, is that called post processing? That's true. Had they done it the opposite way and said, okay, it's post processing of data before it has been stored in the memory, then that would have been false. So answering a question about this here is just as okay, look at the question. What is it that it says? Yeah, okay. But if you just look at the word pre and post, pre is before, post is after. Okay. So that could be another way of catching it. That post is going to read something that comes after something. Whereas pre is going to be okay, something that came before that something. Did you guys get that?
Yes.
Okay. Question number 462. Now, all of the following are true regarding read, zoom, except. Now, what will read, zoom? Because is okay, you can see zooming on a frozen image, or even if we say it's okay, zooming on a saved image. Okay. And since it was read, which is after, it becomes an example of post processing. Now they're giving us 4 statements. And out of these 4 statements, there's only going to be one which is not true or is not correct when talking of read, zoom. And option 1 is pre-processing a function of a receiver. Read, zoom is not pre-processing, it is post-processing. So our answer here is right here. That's the one that doesn't fit into read, zoom. Okay. Now the number of pixels in the number of pixels are the same in the original region of interest and in the zoomed image. Clear? Which mainly mean that, okay, yes, the pixel density would have been the same and the pixel size would have been the same. before zooming in and after zooming in on the region of interest. On the screen, the pixels in the zoomed in image are larger. Oh, that's wrong. I know it says it, but that's BC, BS, and FOS. The pixels are not larger. The same number of ultrasound pulses are used to create the original image or original region of interest and the zoom in image. Yes. Option C is bullshit. Question 446 or 464.3. Now, which of the following are true about the following are true about right zoom, except from. Now, right zoom is a pre-processing of. That's an example of pre-processing of the receiver. Clear? Okay. No, sorry, okay. Sorry. Read zoom, sorry. Okay. Yeah, okay. Sorry. C is correct. C was correct. I'll think of right zoom, sorry. Okay. If you remember, it's okay when we zoomed in on that picture from my computer screen. The pixel size increases. Okay, so yeah, sorry. My mistake. Okay. Question option B for question 63 or 463. Okay, so please keep in mind that, okay, yes. Right zoom, well, okay, yes, it was pre-processing because it says, okay, an unfrozen image. Clear, okay. So the same number of pixels. Okay, so you can say, okay, the number of pixels are in the original region of interest, and the zone are the same in the original region of interest and the zoom in image. Okay. That's not true. Because if this, for instance, okay, was our region of interest in this whole image here, we can say it's okay that the number of pixels that will occupy this area here is not going to be the same as the number of pixels that it will occupy here. So the number of these two pixels here is going to be different. Pixel size in the zoom in image is the same as that of this. Now when we zoom in here, okay, as right zoom, that becomes it. Right. But the pixel size of this image here, and okay, of our original image is going to be the same. In comparison to the zoomed in image, few ultrasound pulses are used to create the original region of interest. This is your original region of interest. When it's going to be zoomed in, there's going to be okay, more pulses here. Because what we mainly can say is okay that the size of these two images here will still have been the same. Question number 464. True or false? The assignment of different shades of gray to the digital numbers stored in the scan converter acts to improve the value of the ultrasound exam. That is true, but to a certain limit. And that limit is mainly as okay what chapter 16 is going to be about. But we can mainly say as okay, roughly speaking, the greater amount of yes, okay, gray shades that we have, a greater grayscale. Okay, we can say okay, different reflections with different intensities are going to yes, okay, display different colors or different shades of gray on our display, and we can say it will be more accurately displayed compared to yes, okay, if we drastically yes, okay, reduced our grayscale down to yes, okay, just black and white. Because then we can say, okay, light shades, which would have been, okay, as strong intensities, can only be shown by white. Dark shades can only be shown by black. Okay. So we didn't really, or we really won't have no idea of, okay, yes, what shades of gray were actually is okay. Dark grays, and what shades of gray would have been, okay, you can say lighter grays before we got to the actual white. But we don't want to get overwhelmed with too many shades of gray as well. Okay, guys, now I guess the following questions, although yes, okay, not specified, but it's going to be from our for our next chapter. Okay, now what you didn't see in this exam review here were, it's okay, there were no questions about spatial compounding, right? You didn't find questions about fill-in interpolation either, right? You didn't find any questions about what was the other one? Spatial compounding, temporal compounding, and frequency compounding. X and DICOM. And we already had questions about some of those in the review questions for the chapter, which we did the other day. Other day. Okay, the day that we finished the chapter. Clear? Okay. So can somebody tell me, yes, okay, what frequency compounding would be like? Sub-bands put together, right? Now, what would sub-bands be? Yes, okay, sub or smaller fractions of your bandwidth. Clear? Okay. And please keep in mind, guys, lower frequencies makes the deeper part of the image, higher frequencies makes the shallower part of the image. Okay. But those subbands being brought together, that is what you call to finally is okay, produce a final image or a new product is frequency compounding. What was temporal compounding? Same angle, different times. When those frames were put together. And what we just said earlier is okay that if that number of frames was less than 30 frames per second, we will have flickering of the image. Did that make sense? Good. So what is the main difference between temporal compounding and frequency compounding? Well, okay, it's going to be frames or images that will be overlapped to produce a new frame. What is the main difference between the two? Temporal compounding was from the same angle or same direction. Clear? Spatial compounding was from different angles. And I showed you guys just okay how to turn that on yesterday. That one that said cross beam on your touch screen, right? Any questions? Good. Okay, guys, now just take a short 10 minutes break. And when we come back, it's okay. We will see what we can do about chapter 16. Yep. Unfortunate. Let's do this. Let's look at chapter 16. Okay, guys? Okay. And okay, yes. So that's fine. Let's just clear all this out. Let's clear all this out. Good. Dynamic range. Now, guys, what did we mean by the word dynamic? We can mainly say, okay, something that we can say, okay, constantly changes. Here, okay. And whenever you see the word range, now not the range that you guys might have talked about yesterday when I went on. I said, okay, yes. Bam. Okay. Okay, but whenever you see the word range, what would be the first thing that should come to your mind? That's actually, that's okay, going to be, it's okay, what falls between two values, where one is going to be a maximum and the other is going to be a minimum. Did that make sense?
Yes.
Now we may look at dynamic range in two forms. Although we're not going to discuss the detail about the first form, but if I say it's okay, that dynamic range can be as okay range of signals, which we mainly will say as okay. What had been frequency, then what would that range had been called? What we'll call that range. Anybody? A range of frequency between minimum and maximum, what will we call that?
Bandwidth?
Huh?
Bandwidth?
Exactly. Clear? Okay. But that's not the one that we'll be talking about in this chapter here. This chapter is mainly going to be as okay, relating to as okay, the range of shades of gray. Clear? Okay. And how can that be controlled or adjusted? By compression by the receiver. Is that clear? Okay. Now, just to yes, okay, because now it's all written in your book, but I'm more likely as okay, want to do it in this form here and say yes, okay. If this here is okay was our range, okay. What did we have on this range? We had a minimum value. Yeah, okay. But this minimum value of our range here is going to be called is threshold. Whereas the maximum value of our range here is going to be called saturation. Did you guys get that?
So the minimum is threshold and the maximum is saturation?
Exactly, of your
Okay.
range.
Yep.
Clear? Okay. Now, what we mainly can say is going to be as okay less than the minimum. That less than the minimum, that is going to be what we call noise. Yeah. Now, in all this context that we want to say is okay, that we can see it's okay. Range. And I mean, it's okay. Let's say range because that's going to be as okay. What we have between the maximum and minimum. That for instance, okay, we can say it's okay that we have a greater range. Now, greater range, what would that mean? That will mainly mean that we have a greater difference between, that's okay, the minimum and maximum. Did that make sense? Which we mainly will say that that will be a greater dynamic range. Whereas on the opposite side, if we say that we had a lower range, well, that means that there actually was a lesser difference between the minimum value, or that we call it threshold, and the maximum which is going to be your saturation. And mainly that will be referred to as a lower dynamic range. Did you guys get that? Clear? Okay. But no matter what our minimum range was, or our minimum of the range was, anything that was less than that was going to be noise. Clear? Okay. And if you guys remember what we said was, what was it that reject was? a mechanism by which, yes, okay, the system eliminated noise. And what was it that noise was? Less intensity signals. So they fall below the threshold. Clear? Okay. We just get more noise because more of those low signals ends up getting, or low intensity signals end up getting displayed on our system or display or monitor because they were not rejected. Okay. Because says, okay, why? Most likely because, okay, those signals became that actually is okay, were of noise, were of a greater intensity that the reject was going to be able to eliminate. Because what was it that reject was? It only has, okay, remove low intensity signals. But if the strength of our minimum range is increased, it may be as, okay, too high for the reject to be able to eliminate it, right? Okay. But right now we made as, okay, that's going to say, okay, what falls within that range? What falls within that range, that's going to be as, okay, our dynamic range. Okay. So are you guys good on what it means to be a threshold? The minimum of the range? What is the saturation? That's the maximum of your range. And mainly as, okay, what falls in between those two values is going to be your dynamic range. Yep. Okay. Now, the reason that we call it dynamic is that, okay, as this range does not remain the same. Clear? Okay. So what does that mean? That there's going to be a difference between the range when we start the journey and when we ended the journey. Did that make sense? So mainly it's okay when we compare those two values. That's okay, what did we have in the beginning compared to what did we have in the end? That ratio, that change is going to be, okay, expressed using the unit of decibels. Did you guys get that? So yesterday I showed you, yes, okay, the system, yes, okay, on your, yes, okay, dynamic range, mainly, yes, okay, as per standard, we set it, okay, it's at 72 decibels. Clear, okay? But yes, okay, you can reduce that. You can reduce that decibel value. Okay, what would that mean? That you just have, okay, as a lesser range or a smaller range, or a lesser difference between the minimum and maximum, or a lesser change. Or you can increase it. Clear? Okay. Which means that's okay, just going to just okay, increase the difference between the minimum and the maximum, or threshold and saturation. Okay, and this is pretty much okay as how we as okay may in one way as okay compress the signal. Did you guys get that? Okay. Now, guys, on page 266. page 266. Now you may see a list or a table, 16.1. Yeah, okay. But what I want you guys to also do is, okay, just look at this table here, but related to, yes, okay, figure 15.7. Now, if you just remake it, okay, 15.7, because yes, okay, we have the transducer. Okay. So we said transducer. Now, one thing that we said about the transducer was that, okay, yes, it didn't really matter what it was. There was always going to be analog. Yeah, okay. And what did we say about analog? Limitless numbers. Yeah, okay. Whereas, okay, in although yes, okay, we didn't have that in figure 17 point or 15.7, but what I said was at some point, yes, okay, you will have the receiver. So signal that came from analog will go to the next component, which was going to be the receiver. After which, yes, okay, the signal will go to, yes, okay, to a scan converter. Now, although it's okay, they haven't mentioned the display, it's okay, memory here, but we can just say, it's okay, we have the memory. After the memory, it's okay, what were we going to have? The display. Yeah, okay. And after display, yes, okay, last but not the least, because yes, okay, that data was going to be stored in an archive. Now, what you mainly will see here that, okay, yes, the transducer has the greatest dynamic range. Yeah, okay. And okay, at that dynamic range, mainly it's okay, just starts to decrease as we go from transducer to receiver, from receiver to scan converter, from scan converter to display, from display to archive. Did you guys get that? Okay, and what we actually can see is okay that change of, for instance, okay, when comparing the dynamic range of your analog to receiver, from receivers to scan convert, from scan convert to display, from display to what the archive, the range is reduced, or we can say it's okay that there's going to be a lesser and lesser difference between the strongest, which is the saturation, and the threshold, which is the minimum. Clear? Okay. And how does that occur? That is mainly is okay a way of compression, or by the mechanism of compression. Now, guys, just look here. When your receiver receives reflections, the reason that we say that, okay, yes, sorry, not receiver, sorry, transducer, sorry. When your transducer receives reflections, what we mainly can say is, okay, yes, that the variety of the strength of those reflections is limitless. Or let's just put it this way, it's okay, they are in the thousands. From very, very, very weak to very, 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 very strong. Did that make sense? Clear? Okay. Now, my dear guys, had all those reflections individually dependent upon as okay their wide range of okay shades of grays that they would have had, because there were thousands of different intensities which was going to have as okay their own brightness. That would have been too much for us, okay, for the human eyes, because it's okay on an area, it's okay, the human eye is not able to detect more than 20 shades of gray at a time. So even if you are giving us, okay, 20,000 shades of gray, that was too much. Not just for the human eye, but even as okay for the system. Not to talk about as okay that as scan that we now may save as okay as in a file that just takes up 20 kilobytes, for instance. We had taken 20,000 kilobytes because it had to accommodate all those different varieties of shades of gray. So what this dynamic range actually is okay is going to do is reduce that grayscale as if the signal is being processed. Okay, but the takeaway point here is, okay, now if you know yes, okay, how the signal flows through the system, the main thing that you should remember is that, okay, at the dynamic range that decreases. And that's when we say, okay, it doesn't really matter which transducer we were using, mechanical, annular array, vector array, linear facial array, so on, so on, so. Okay, they are all going to be analog and in terms that, okay, yes, they receive a wide range of shades of gray. Where good is good, but then too much good is bad. Clear? Okay, so what the purpose of compression here is going to be to narrow down that range. Clear? Okay, now when we say narrow down that range, one thing that you got to keep in mind is that, okay, yes, strongest signal is still going to be the maximum, or saturation still remains the saturation. Clear? Your threshold still remains threshold. Clear? Okay. Did that make sense? So best, brightest still is brightest, darkest is still darkest. Okay, but that the range is reduced. Clear? So instead of us, okay, having an image with us, okay, 20,000 shades of grays, we just reduce that down to, let's say, okay, just 20 shades. But what was brightest in the beginning still is the brightest. What is darkest still is the darkest. But instead of having just, okay, 20,000 shades, we reduce that down to 20. So we can actually say, yes, okay, what did we do? Compress 1,000 shades into, yes, okay, one group. And that's how we go from 20,000 to 20 shades. Did you guys get that? Yeah, okay. Now, why is it that we don't want to? Okay. So please just remember this list here, because, okay, it is just like you, okay, your impedance. But you can maybe say, okay, the dynamic range means, okay, it's going to be lesser and lesser and lesser and lesser as we go from transducer to receiver, from receiver to scan converter, from scan converter to display, from display to archive. But if you look at the flow of the signal, some of it was, okay, as displayed on figure 17.5. Some of it we just have to, yes, okay, smuggle in. And I said it back then that, okay, yes, your receiver was going to be, as okay, somewhere in between your transducer and scan converter. So as we go here, yes, okay, maximum or limitless range of shades of grays gets reduced in the receiver, primarily, yes, okay, by compression. Okay, lesser in the scan converter, lesser in the display, and lesser in the archive, where it may be, yes, okay, stored in the form of a data file. Had it not undergone that compression, Wikimedia says, okay, we were ahead 20,000 shades of grays in each image, ahead of a grayscale, for instance. Okay, that was going to take up a lot of bits or bytes in the storage. Whereas, okay, as the signal is okay, mainly is okay, just flow through is okay, the components, that gray shades, or that number of gray shades is reduced by compression. And the number of shades of gray that we have is going to be, as okay, reduced from 20,000 to just, let's say it's okay, 20. Did you guys get that?
Yes.
The reason that they technically say it's okay that it's okay, why do we need to reduce it as it goes? Mainly because, okay, the receiver may not be, you can say it's okay, equipped to handle 20,000 sheets. That's why it's okay, we'll have a lesser scale or a lesser range. Okay. Okay. Let's say it's okay from 20,000 to let's say it's okay just 18,000. Now 18,000 may be too much for the gray scan converter. So that's why we may say it's okay that it has to have a lesser scale. And we can say it's okay just 15,000. And now I'm going to say it's okay, go, it's okay, pretty down because we say it's okay. 15,000 may be too much. So that's why it's okay. This may only have it's okay 1,500 sheets. Okay. And that's still going to be too much for us, okay, for the archive or data or storage. And that's why we say it's okay. Well, we only as okay store it with 20 sheets. So mainly because okay, the number of sheets here is too much for this. It needs to get compressed. Or that needs to is okay, or we actually is okay, need to reduce the dynamic range. Okay, but as far as the dynamic ranges are concerned, it is going to be greatest in transducer, lesser than receiver, lesser than scan converter, lesser than display, and lesser in at least in the archive. And what do we mean by a lesser dynamic range? Lesser difference between maximum and minimum. Okay, why do we need to reduce it? Just like, okay, yes, they give you, it's okay, in the book, they give you an example of a bathroom scale. And do you guys know what a bathroom scale is?
Yeah.
Good. Does anybody have one?
Yep.
Good. So you may stand on that thing and say, oops, too many goodies during, yes, okay, Christmas and New Year and yes, okay, whatever is coming tomorrow. Right, okay, clear? But we can maybe say, okay, now that's okay, that bedroom scale, if that's what you want to call a bathroom scale, has a certain range of weight that it will be able to weigh from. Okay. Let's say it's okay, as it says, from anything between 30 pounds to 300 pounds. That's its range. Did that make sense? What does that mean? That scale is mainly as okay designed to weigh anything from 3 to 30 pounds, which is the minimum or the threshold, to maximum 300 pounds. Okay. Now you put a bunch of grapes, or let's say it's okay, a bag of sugar, 5 pounds or 2 pounds, sugar bag on that scale. Will you assist or will your scale be able to weigh that? That bathroom scale. If it starts from 30 pounds, it won't show you 5 pounds, right? It won't show you 2 pounds. Clear? Okay. So that bag of sugar on your bathroom scale is just going to be noise. Did that make sense? Clear? Okay. Well, okay, as if you if you ask an elephant to step on that, okay, bathroom scale, you may be bye-bye to it because that's beyond the saturation. Clear? Okay. But then you go to, yes, okay, a kitchen scale. Do you guys have something like that? Clear? Okay. Now you can say, yes, okay, my kitchen scale, that's okay. If I want to weigh things which is anything between, yes, okay, 0 to 30 pounds, I'll be able to do that. So that's where, yes, okay, you weigh your sugar, your flour, your eggs, your grapes, your whatsoever, right? Okay. But if you sit on that kitchen scale, sorry, what's going to happen to it? It will only be able to tell you, well, okay, yes, here is, okay, I could weigh that, okay, the maximum was 30 pounds, right? Okay, and you may say, okay, do I really weigh 30 pounds? No. You have to get on the bathroom scale to get that. Clear? Okay. Did that make any sense? Good. Now, what does it mean to reduce the scale? By compression. Now, what we mainly will say here is, okay, yes, that we reduce the difference between the maximum and minimum. Or let's say it's okay, the varieties of difference between the maximum and the minimum. Because that difference between the maximum and minimum, that was what we call the dynamic range. Now we may keep the range the same, but reduce the variety. Now yesterday we had a test, right? Okay, now I'm not going to just, okay, recall, okay, yes, give some of you, it's okay, good or bad flashbacks, that's not the point. But just to understand this. Oh, yes, okay, dynamic range works. So we can say it's okay. Our range for the test, as far as the test goes, is, well, okay, saturation that's the maximum number that you can get, right? A percentage, let's put it that way. That would be 100, right? Did you guys get that?
Yep.
Good. Now, yes, okay, our threshold for this module here or we can say it's okay, the minimum that you could get and still pass was 75%. That we mainly can say it's okay. Anything that, for instance, okay, was less than 75%. That's okay. That what we in this case is okay, called noise. Now to begin with, let's say it's okay, this may be at the level of the transducer. That we say it's okay, but what do we have? It's okay, we have 99%. We have 98%. We have 97%, 96, so on, so on, so on, so on, so on. Clear, okay? Clear, okay? Did that make sense? Okay, all the way down to, yes, okay, 76, and the minimum, yes, okay, was 75. But we can say, okay, this was our range. Now, what compression is going to do okay, which mainly as okay will be to as okay reduce the dynamic range. Let's say it's okay that we take all the scores of 90s, for instance. That your percentages were in 90s. We say it's okay. you are A. You are a student. We may say it's okay if your percentages, for instance, okay, were in the 80s. You were a B. We may say it's okay, your percentages, for instance, okay, was in the these 70s here. You were C. Okay. We could before that has say as okay, if you were in the high 90s, like say it's okay, 99, or let's say it's okay from 100 to let's say it's okay, 98. That was A plus. You could say it's okay from 97 to let's say it's okay, 94, just E. And then from it's okay from 93 to 90, A minus. Okay. So to begin with, yes, okay, you guys says, okay, well, okay, you got, let's say it's okay, 98%. There was somebody who has, okay, got 99%. There was somebody who got 97%. And if I gave each of you, yes, okay, your percentages like that, that was going to, yes, okay, be that there would be, yes, okay, a greater range of varieties of percentages that you could get. But then I compress it down to, yes, okay, A plus A and A minus. Likewise, B plus B and B minus. And likewise, okay, C plus C and C minus. Okay, okay. But when C over A plus A and A minus were grouped together as a common A, which mainly say, well, okay, as anybody who was A, yes, okay, got anything between, you can say, okay, 100% to 90%. Anybody who got anything between, yes, okay, 89 to 80% was B. But they could have been a B plus, because they got in the higher 80s. They could have been a plain B if they just got, okay, yes, in the middle 80s, or a B minus if they got in the low 80s. Likewise, okay, C's, yes, okay. You could be as okay, a high C in the high 70s. Plain C if you said, okay, we're in the lower 70s, and okay, as C minus if you were at the lowest in the 70s until you hit the threshold. Yeah, okay. So what remaining can say is okay, more compression. Because more compression can mean it's okay, take high as okay. The greater and the greater and the greater the compression, the lesser and the lesser and the lesser is your dynamic range. The last I can say, well, okay, yes, anybody who fall into this big group here is pass, and anybody is okay who fall into this group here is okay was failed. Okay, did that make sense? So what do we have within the past as well? Okay, there were people who got scores in the 90s. There are people who got scores in the 80s. There are people who got scores in the 70s. So that's Lucas says, okay, that will be as okay, the minimum dynamic range of half students. The maximum is that you got your specific decimal percentage. I'm trying to round it up, right? Okay. Okay. That's why, okay, yesterday I gave that last question. Okay. Okay, there's a question which has 2 points. So that's okay. Do yourselves okay. 98%, 97%, 96%, 80%, 85%, 70%, 73%, 75%, so and so. That is very specifically. But I say, okay, these 3, 4 guys, yes, okay, they were 90% students. And so on. Clear? Okay. So the more the signal is compressed, the more the signal is compressed, the lesser and lesser and lesser is going to be your number of choices, as they call it. Yeah. Now, what do you mean by number of choices? Your grayscale. Clear? So the lesser your number of choices, lesser your grayscale. Clear? Okay. But that strongest signal is still going to be the strongest. That weakest signal is still going to be the weakest. Clear? Okay. We just reduce the scale. Or we can say, okay, we reduce the scale, we reduce the varieties of shades of gray. So the most compressed would be as okay, the smallest range. Smaller range, smallest grayscale. And what will be the smallest grayscale? What do we call that one?
That the bistable?
Bistable. How many bits would that one have? How many bits do you have in bistable?
Is it 1?
Just 1 bit. Okay. And that gives us just, okay, just 2 sheets. Did you guys get that? So which component is least compressed? Transducer, which is going to receive the highest compressed or most compressed signal? Archive. Yeah. Okay. Now, although not something that I will be asking you guys on your test, since it's not mentioned in your book, but you guys may, as okay, wonder, Mike, out of all those gray maps that we were able to just okay retrieve yesterday. Okay. Okay. You might have seen that, okay, as that, okay, as when we go from Chap was gray map A, and then we just go B, C, D. Usually it's okay, the system is okay, stars on H. But it's okay, we can say okay, A, I, J, K, L, and so on, so on, so on. Clear? Okay. Now map A is going to be as okay, the greatest grayscale. And okay, we mainly says okay that the grayscale is okay, actually is okay, decreases. That's okay. Decrease as we go down the list. So the map with the greatest grayscale, or we can say, so, okay, the greatest number of choices or greatest varieties of shades of gray between black and white is map A. We can even say as okay, that will be as okay, the greatest dynamic range. As we as okay go down and down, now as okay, the dynamic range will decrease. But that's mean as okay when you need to choose between different maps. Yeah, okay. But the lesser your dynamic range, or lesser is okay, your grayscale, that is mainly is okay. Because it's okay due to more compression. Whereas this here is okay due to less compression. Did you guys get that?
Yes.
So how can we summarize all this? We can say it's okay. Dynamic range. Grayscale. Estimate is okay. That's here says okay. Going to be it's okay. The number of choices. Related to compression. By mean, you can say the greater the compression, the lesser the dynamic range. And lesser the dynamic range, smaller grayscale, or number of choices of gray. Or colors, if you want to put it out. Whereas if you go on the other side and say, yes, okay, lesser compression will be a greater dynamic range. The greater the dynamic range will mainly mean greater grayscale or greater number of choices of grays. Okay, but we don't want to keep this here too much because it's going to be as okay a lot of shades which actually is okay, where the differences may not be. It's okay. It's okay. We can say it's okay. Caught by the eye, or differentiated by the eye. Yeah, okay. And on the other hand, okay, the greater number of shades that we have is going to be more bits. More bits will update. Okay, take up more data. Did that make sense?
Mike, just to clarify, so the higher the compression, the lower the dynamic range, the lower the grayscale, and then the lower the compression, higher the dynamic range, higher the grayscale.
Exactly.
Okay,
So the reds go together, the blues go together.
got it. Thank you.
Okay. But then again, it's okay. We can actually just look at our table 17 or 16.1 and say, where is the signal least compressed? Transducer. It's going to become more compressed when it goes from transducer to receiver. Okay, the signal is going to become more compressed when it goes from receiver to scan converter. From scan converter to display. From display, it's going to be more compressed when it goes to the archive. Okay, so the greater the compression, the narrower the dynamic range. Clear? Okay, and in this case, you can say, okay, how do we correlate that to something that we specifically want to talk about in this chapter is the shades of gray or the number of choices. So the more compression, lesser number of choices. Lesser compression, more number of choices. Okay, but as okay, if you start the journey as okay as a grayscale from beginning to end, you will start off with a lot of numbers. Just as I said yesterday, yes, okay, each of you got your scores. Okay, but then yes, okay, I compress that and say, okay, all people who got upper 90s were A plus, in middle 90s, A, and lower 90s, A minus. Okay, now what would be as okay the range of upper 90s? We could say as okay anything between as okay 900 and 98. Middle 97 to 95. Lower 90s 95 to 90. Okay. So we actually has okay increase the numbers. Okay, so the same happens to your shades of gray. You might have started off with okay yes, a great gray scale. Or if you may says okay, it will be as okay a greater choice, a greater number of choices because what did we have? Okay, yes. If it says okay, a greater choice, a greater grayscale, for instance. Which would have been okay as a greater dynamic range due to lesser compression. If you look at that grayscale map, you could say yes, okay, we had black. Just to start from somewhere, right? Okay. Okay. Then we can say as okay. Now it's okay. I don't have as okay shades of gray, but okay, yes. Because this will be as okay dark gray or very dark gray. This would be as okay lesser dark gray. This would be as okay still on the gray side, dark gray side. We can say it's okay. Now we just go on to the lighter, but it's okay still dark. And we just use all our available choices here. Let's say it's okay, this was our, and then of course it's okay at the other end, it's okay, we had white. Did that make sense? Okay. That would do to okay, less compression. What I may okay do say is okay, I'm going to compress this scale here. Now just less compression, we can say okay, we take these three here, okay, they may now be displayed by just black. We may say okay, this next group here, for instance, is okay, and the color that okay has may represent that is going to be, let's say this one here. Okay. Then we say as okay, the next group. And we say as okay, that will be represented by this color here. Okay. And then we go on to the next and says, okay, this. And we says, okay, that's just going to just okay be represented by white. So what do we have? We compressed it. We compressed the uncompressed, and now we just okay have a lesser variety. But I can even just okay compress that further and say, listen, guys, these two here, okay, they are commonly going to be represented by black dust. And okay, as any group or any shade or any reflection which falls within the intensity of what started with this, but now just this, is going to just okay be represented by just white. So when I went from this scale to this, it got compressed on this level here, and it even got more compressed. So the more we compress, the smaller gets our dynamic range, or yes, okay, the lesser is going to be the yes, okay, number of choices of gray. Okay. And when declaring the result, the smallest range that I can have is okay, I say, well, okay, as this many students passed, this many failed. Okay. I may even as okay put and say, okay, these are the passes on one side, okay, these were the failures on the other side. Okay. But those of you who passed would not know, okay, did we get scores in 90s? Did we get score in 70s? Did we get score in 80s? Forget about us, okay, or were we A students, B students, or C students? Forget about knowing that, okay, whether you were A plus A or A minus, B, B plus or B minus, C, C plus or C minus. Did you guys get that? Okay. Now, guys, if you look at page 267, that's fine. We're just going to do these, and then you guys are OFF for the day, okay? I might have consumed your lunch break in the middle, but peace be with that. Sorry. So if we, okay. So page 267. And please just remember, guys, okay, you need to know at least two values to calculate the third. Right? So question number 1. Now, an uncompressed signal within the receiver, okay, has a dynamic range of 110 decibels. So uncompressed, which means that it is not compressed. So it's okay, it has a dynamic range of 110 decibels. Clear? Okay. Now what it says here is, okay, the signal undergoes 40 decibel of compression. So the compression is going to be 40 decibels. Clear? Okay. Now what is the dynamic range of the compressed signal? Compressed. It's me, yes, okay, just saying, well, okay, yes. You started your day with $110. Here. You spent $40. So how much do you have left? Did you guys get that?
Yep.
Now just look at the other one. So again, yes, okay, here they say it's okay. An uncompressed signal has a dynamic range of 85 decibels. So again, yes, okay, that uncompressed. What does it mean by being uncompressed? That it has not been compressed yet. But it's okay, we have, okay, yes, an 85 decibels. Yeah, okay. The signal undergoes compression of 30 decibels. So what do we have? We have a compression of 30 decibels. Okay. So here it says, okay, it undergoes compression of 30, or undergoes a 30 decibel compression. Okay. Or it may, yes, okay, that can even be phrased as, yes, okay, it's going to be compressed by 30 decibels. But then it's just going to ask us, okay, what is the range of our compressed signal? And the formula is the same. 85, from which we mean is, okay, just subtract the amount of compression, which is 30, which gives us, okay, yes, our compressed signal, which is 55. So after compression, it's okay, our signal is going to have a dynamic range of 55 decibels. Did you guys get that?
Yes.
Good, guys. Now, if we just look at question number 3. Now, here they go. Yes, okay. After compression within the ultrasound system, the dynamic range is 70 decibels. So what do we have? This is the dynamic range of the compressed signal. Okay, so after the signal has been compressed, this is the dynamic range. The original signal was compressed by 40 decibels. Which means you're going to be as okay the degree of compression. Okay. So what is the dynamic range of the uncompressed signal? So here I mean it's okay, just ask us, it's okay. Uncompressed signal. And that's straightforward, guys. You say, well, okay, at the end of the day, yes, okay, I had $70. after spending $40. So what did I have at the beginning of the day? $110. Did you guys get that?
Yep.
It's question number 4. The signal within the system's receiver has a dynamic range of 60 decibels, okay, after compression. So when we say it's okay, after compression, that is going to be the compressed. So it's 60 decibels. Well, okay. The original signal was compressed by 50 decibels. So we can say, okay, the degree of compression was 50 decibels. And what they mean is, okay, we just ask us, okay, what was the dynamic range of the uncompressed signal? And that's again, yes, okay. When we add up these two here, which is 60 and 50. And okay, yes. Again, it's okay if you went the other way around and say it's okay. Uncompressed signal was 110. It was compressed by 50 decibels. What is the range of the dynamic of the compressed signal? So either way. Yeah. But then you can say it's okay, the greater the compression a signal underwent, the lesser will be its dynamic range. Lesser dynamic range, lesser number of choices, as your book says. Because a wider dynamic range is going to be a greater grayscale, and a narrow dynamic range is going to be a narrow grayscale. And what is going to be the most compressed signal? Narrowest dynamic range, or narrowest grayscale, which will be bistable. We don't have bistable, but it's okay theoretically. You just need to know that. Yeah. Should we just do the last few questions that we have unanswered at the back? Why not? Okay, we may end up skipping a few. Let's see. So it's okay. We finished off at 464. So we're going to come back at 465. So we go to page 515, 518, sorry. And we are now at question 465. Now, guys, The relationship between the largest and smallest signal amplitude processed by a component of an ultrasound system is called dynamic range. Clear? And has a unit of decibels. What was the largest? Saturation. What was the weakest or smallest? What was the smallest? Threshold. Clear? Okay. The largest amplitude is going to be brightest. Darkest amplitude is going to be highest amplitude is going to be brightest, and smallest amplitude is going to be
Brightest.
highest amplitude is going to be brightest, and smallest amplitude is going to be
Darkest.
darkest. And then just the range between those two, or what we call the dynamic range. Clear? Now we can say it's okay. Greater dynamic range, what did we say? Greater grayscale. Greater grayscale, lesser contrast. Lesser contrast, better contrast resolution. Yes, girls. What's so funny? And vice versa. Okay. Question 466. Now they're giving us, okay, as a list of components, and that's where yes, okay, your list comes into the question. Okay. Which components typically has the greatest dynamic range? Okay, now here they gave us just, okay, display, they gave us pulsar, they gave us amplifier, they gave us demodulator. Okay. Now pulsar was not even in an equation of this, okay, components in our list. Okay. That means it's okay, even before it's okay, the signal was received back. Okay. Now some of you says, okay, why is it that the amplifier is the answer? Now the amplifier here is okay, mainly is okay, is related to the receiver, because what is it that the receiver does? It amplifies, right? Clear? Did that make sense?
Yeah.
Good. Then some of you says, okay, demodulator, wouldn't that be as okay part of the receiver as well? But demodulation there, guys. First of all, it doesn't do anything to us, okay, to the intensity of the signal. Clear, okay. And even as okay, if you look at it, even if it was a function of the receiver, demodulation is performed after amplification, after compensation, and after compression. And here's okay, what they're asking us the greatest dynamic range. Clear, okay. And display is okay, that's actually going to be the object here, or the component of the system here, which actually has the lowest. So that's why it's the amplifier. So amplifier will mean is okay, just be another word for it. Okay, receiver mainly because okay, one of the main function that it does is amplification. But please keep in mind, guys, that even is okay in amplification. And that's why it's okay, all signals are evenly amplified. So it's okay, that strongest signal still remain the strongest. That weakest signal still remain the weakest. Okay. Question 467. Which of the following component range, okay, typically has the lowest dynamic range? Okay, so it's the same components that we are given here. As okay, and according to our list, it's display. Or at least that's okay, and according to the list of those, I get the components that we have been given here. Display. Had a friends, okay, had our list here, okay, had archive, that would be the answer. Because okay, the dynamic range of the archive is going to be lesser than the display. Please keep in mind, guys, this word display here is okay, can be replaced by monitor. Okay. Or maybe it's okay, get replaced by your screen. Especially if we talk about as okay, components of the system. The screen of your computer where you are able to see what is going on right now is your display or monitor or screen, right? But question 466 or 468, why is it necessary for the receiver to perform compression of the electrical signal that it processes? Okay, the dynamic, okay, so the options given us, okay, the dynamic range of the system's electronics is less than the dynamic range of the received sound of reflections. And that's why. And as you mean, it says, okay, as the signal process, or as okay, passes from component to component to component to component, their dynamic range reduces. Okay. And okay, if they weren't compressed, that mean that okay, yes, you put a car onto your bedroom scale. It will not be able to just okay handle that dynamic range. Did that make sense? Question 469. Mainly, that's okay, just what we just did. But yes, okay, here you can just see it's okay, a different form of wording. So a signal with a dynamic range of 120 decibels is compressed. So you can mean say, okay, that is the uncompressed dynamic range was 120 decibels. Okay. Or it's compressed by 40 decibels. So the degree of compression is 40 decibels. And what they mean is, okay, this is, okay, where is the dynamic range of the compressed signals? Compressed. From which we mean is, okay, just subtract the compression to get the intensity of the compressed signal, which is 80 decibels. Did you guys get that?
Yes.
Good. Now, a signal of 120 decibels dynamic range was previously compressed by 40 decibels. So what do we have here? The compressed signal is 120 decibels. Clear? Okay. Okay. No, yes, okay. You and I got after. So we can mainly say that, okay, yes, a signal of 120 decibels range was previously compressed by 4 decibels. So this is going to be as okay, your compressed signal was 120 decibels, but underwent a compression of 40 decibels. So what they mean is, okay, asking, okay, what was the original dynamic range of the uncompressed signal? And that's again, it's okay, where we just say 120 onto which it's okay, we add the degree of compression. And okay, just get the total of what the system was before compression. Did you guys get that?
Yes.
Good. Question 471. Which display is limited to a single pair of brightness or display levels? Okay. Now, guy, a single. Now, somebody who is single is only one. But when they say a single pair, in most part of the words, a pair is two. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So a pair will be as okay, two what? Levels of brightness, right? Okay. Levels or as okay, range of brightness. But when we only had two levels of brightness, we have one is black and one is white. That was what we called bistable. Clear? Did you guys get that?
Yes.
Okay, and what makes it bistable is because the mean is okay, said that they set the limit at a single pair or just two shields. Clear? Okay, whether I said it just says okay, which display is okay, the level of brightness or range of brightness, then that will have been your grayscale or contrast. Clear? Okay. So yes, okay, from chapter 15, when they talk about yes, okay, brightness versus contrast. Or brightness, also known as or referred to as brilliance versus contrast. Okay, so brightness or brilliance was just okay, how bright is it that the image is, or how dark. Whereas, okay, contrast is going to be that range of brilliance between the brightest and the darkest, which we call the which we call the grayscale. Yep. Now, question 472. Now, all of the following are consistent with an image containing black and white only, with no shades of gray except. So the main is, okay, which of these, yes, okay, applies to, yes, okay, what we call bistable. Why? It's in the question. Okay, it's black and white only. Okay, so the one that doesn't apply to is okay, B is okay, black and white only or bistable is the one that we need to get out. Okay. Now, it's okay. From the statement here, it says, okay, it's okay. What they explained was bistable because there was only black and white only. Now, when we only have black on one side and one on the other side, or white on the other side, what we said was that, okay, there was going to be, it's okay, a great difference between these two shades here. Okay, that great difference is referred to as, okay, as a great contrast, or actually that's okay because it's okay, greatest contrast. Okay, but what this greatest contrast or this greater difference doesn't have is not going to have, okay, a wide dynamic range. Rather, it's going to just, okay, have the smallest dynamic range. So what we consider as, okay, being bistable mean because it only has black and white as the narrowest dynamic range, the greatest contrast. Okay, but not the widest or not the wide dynamic range. Did you guys get that?
Yes.
Okay, so guys, that's okay. All these relationships here between compression, dynamic range, grayscale, contrast resolutions, you can be asked those questions not only on your theory tests, but also as okay on your practicals when we talk dynamic range. Okay, the first thing that you should be able to do is, okay, locate the knob by which, okay, as the dynamic range can be controlled. Yeah, okay. I show you guys that knob yesterday. But I was okay, what if the dynamic range is great? How will that affect either the grayscale, your contrast resolution, whatsoever? It's your luck what question you may get asked. Clear? So these relationships is okay are IMPORA, IMPORTANT. Or if you import an and, that's how important they are. Okay, guys, let's look at the next question. And then you guys are off. Okay. Which of the following terms is not associated with a wide dynamic range? So what is a wide dynamic range? You can say it's okay, something that is less compressed. Okay, a wide dynamic range is going to, yes, okay, also be a great grayscale. We can also say, okay, due to a wide dynamic range, a great grayscale, that's okay, less contrast. Okay. So we may, yes, okay, we need to, yes, okay, see is there anything in our list given below that doesn't match any of these terms here. Now, low contrast, well, okay, yes, we have that. So that's not the answer. Many shades of gray, well, okay, many shades of gray is, okay, yes, a great grayscale. Bistable. Well, okay, yes, if we have a great grayscale, that is not bistable, because bistable was the smallest grayscale, right? Here. Now, please keep in mind, guys, that, okay, this option of bistable here could also be as, okay, 1 bit. So it's okay if you know how to play around with the words that they still mean the same. You may know what's coming. One bit is bistable, right? Okay. Any words or any questions? No?
No.
Okay, guys. Let me just see. Okay. Now, do any of you mind? It's a question of mind. Take your next quest on Tuesday, next Tuesday, the day after President's Day.
Are we gonna be done with 17 this week?
17, even my dear, even if I stretch it to the extent that, okay, as it will rupture, it'd be done in 2 days, not even. And that's if I stretch it. So what can we say, guys? Well, okay, we have tomorrow and Wednesday or Thursday to finish it. You can have Friday, that's okay, for you to view, whichever way you want it. President's Day, you do it yourself. And so if next Monday doesn't, or next Thursday doesn't make, is not suitable, that's okay. We can do it any day in the week.
Would you mind if we did it on the 21st instead, the Wednesday?
I don't mind.
Okay, I think that that would make us feel a little bit better.
I have no problem with that.
Thank you.
But please be advised, okay, as the chapters is 15, which we already did. 16, which we did today. And 17, which we, as okay, as I said, even if I stretch it to the worst, it won't take more than 2 days. I maybe even to stretch it to okay as 2.5 days, but that's it.
Will we have either Friday or Tuesday to review?
Yeah, we can do that since you guys wanted to do on Wednesday then. Clear, okay. But that's okay. The day that is on the schedule, that's okay, it's 29th. That's so let's get okay started with things like okay, Doppler, where I when yes, okay, would like to go slow. Let's put it that way. Yeah, okay.